In this video, we'll be talking about the periodic table. So, the periodic table will probably be the most relevant thing you'll ever use in chemistry, as it will tell you many trends and a lot of things that you don't have to memorize, and you can just figure out just by looking at the periodic table. So, it is pretty important. Now, the first thing you will want to do is to name the horizontal lines and the vertical lines, and each of these have names. So we'll call the horizontal rows like this. Let's say that's a horizontal row. That is what we call a period. So these are periods, and well, the vertical columns like this one, so vertical, will be groups. Some people also call it families, but you will use groups more oftenly. Like it's more common. So you can figure out that the periodic table is composed of 7 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seven periods. Sorry, I don't know if I said groups. And it has a lot of groups, and they're written up here. So you'll call this one. The first one is the group 1A, then 2A. They're usually written in numerals like 1A, 2A, or 2A. And when you get down here to this part, they become B. So it'll be 3B, 4B, 5B, and then this one just continues after this into 3A, because B isn't really considered the same as A. So you go 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus this, and well, this part that's attached, but that doesn't really matter for now. So let's identify, we identify pretty much the most important thing, the groups and the periods. Groups are vertical, periods are horizontal. Just try and remember that. Well, the second thing we will want to identify are which are metals, which are non-metals, and which are metalloids. So, a good way to remember this is just by knowing the metalloids. If you know what the metalloids are, they're pretty much the difference between the metals and the non-metals. So this section right here, so boron, silicon, and all of this part. So it's kind of like a ladder. So if you're able to remember these elements, you'll know that then this part will be the metals, and to the right will be the non-metals. So actually, let me write this better. So to the right of metalloids, you will have the non-metals. To the left, you will have the metals. So if you're able to identify the ladder, so in this case they're the green elements, like green, 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 that you will be able to remember which side is composed of metals and which side is composed of non-metals. So this would be all the metals, and this would be the non-metals. Metals, non-metals. So you will oftentimes you will be given in your test a periodic table, so it'll be easy to remember. But sometimes, most of the times, you'll be given the periodic table. So don't really worry about memorizing all of these elements. Just by knowing it, just by knowing how to identify it, you'll be fine. Well, sometimes they'll be asking you for things like the alkali metals, the alkaline earth, transition metals, and that stuff. And usually they don't, but I'm gonna cover it too. Let's go to the second page. So let's divide it into parts. So metals can have first. Let's see. These are the alkali. This section, the light light pink section. It's lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. These are what we call the alkali metals. So, alkali metals. Then, we have the alkaline earth metals, which would be right next to alkali metals. It will be composed of beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and radium. So, alkaline earth. Then, we have the biggest section of the periodic table, which is what we know as the transition metals. It's this light blue section of this light blue. So, these are the transition metals. And they usually form metals, as you know, usually form ionic compounds with the non-metals. So we have, for now, we have the alkali metals, alkaline earth, and the transition metals. So then we have the basic metals, which are this. And pretty much the most important ones are aluminum, so here, tin, and lead. Sometimes you'll use bismuth or others, but this like kind of rare ones are not very commonly used. So just try to remember aluminum, tin, and lead for the basic metals. So let's see, basic. And we also have, you can see that, you can see this section right here. What this is the lanthanide and actinide series, so this section. So this actually goes in here. So the periodic table would be really, really long. It would be much longer. So just to make it more compact, they decided just to put it down here. So we have the lanthanide and the actinide series. So this is the lanthanide, the first one, and the actinide is the second one. So right here, lanthanide is just all of these are metals, and then the other one is the actinide series. So if you want to remember them, just try and remember that the periods, that the first period that is compact right here. So this one is the lanthanide, and the second period is the actinide. So first is lanth, doesn't write lanth, just second actinide, act. It's a you just have it's you most of the time you don't have to remember them, but you know sometimes they ask for them. It's better to know them. So those like this are the metals. Those are the 6 type of metals. Then we have the metalloids. Metalloids. And those are boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, and polonium. So pretty much the latter that separates metals from non-metals. Metals from non-metals. And you don't really have any type of metalloids because they're in between. And finally, we have the non-metals. Non-metals. Well, for the non-metals, we have the basic non-metals, like normal non-metals, the halogens, and the noble gases. So, let's go write it down. The basic, the halogens, and the noble gases. So what are these? Let's go back to our periodic table. The basic nonmetals are widely used in organic chemistry, like carbon and oxygen. And we have hydrogen right here. You can't forget that hydrogen is a non-metal. Although it usually acts as a cation, it is a non-metal. Then we have uh, this section are the halogens. So they will be group 7A are the halogens. So fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, acetylene, and UUS. So it's really just one group or family. And then finally, here we have our noble gases, which are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, and the UuO1. And basically, what you have to know about noble gases is that they have a full octet, but we'll be talking about that later on in the section. We'll be talking about more about octets later when we are talking about more about electrons and the SPDF. So don't worry about that for now. You only have to recognize that metals are alkali metals, alkaline earth, transition metals, basic metals, lanthanide and actinide series. Metalloids are simply the latter, and the nonmetals are the basic, halogens, and noble gases. And that's it for the periodic table.